Well, now that Brittney Griner is back on U.S. soil, she likely has healing to do, although we don't know exactly what she's been through. Spending time, I'm sure, in a Russian penal colony known for hard labor has got to be tough. So what will that look like for her? National PTSD expert Dr. Joshi is joining us from Chicago with some insight. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Hey, thank you, Kara, for having me.
Okay, so what is, I mean, I know you're not talking with her right now, but, you know, if you were to give us some insight, her predicted mental state now that she is back in Texas.
Initially, I think she's actually going to be okay. And she's going to be surrounded by a lot of people. There's going to be a huge media blitz. And that's going to be very distractive and maybe even therapeutic. The concern, especially in people, who return from a traumatic experience and a unique experience. The concern is going to be the many days or weeks or months out. And that's really what's going to be predictive in terms of how she's going to do long term. Also, what she's experienced is going to play a big role in how she does long term.
And when it comes to like her background, upbringing, does any of that play a role in how she heals moving forward as far as her mental health is concerned?
It does. Childhood is a huge factor, a very important factor, and a very predictive factor on how people do long term. So she's already mentioned in the past that she's dealt with a lot of bullying and people not being very nice about her and her background. That may actually prove to be helpful because she's been able to build these mental fortresses and these ways of dealing with traumatic events. But it may also be a triggering event. So it depends on how that patient or how that person in this case deals with that trauma. There are people who, and this wouldn't apply to her, but people who maybe have more privileged backgrounds or privileged childhood who haven't dealt with traumatic events. And those are the patients or those are the people who are maybe more likely to not be able to cope with the experience that she just had.
Well, and we were talking about, training. I mean, when you're an athlete at a high caliber level, you have to have, mental and physical fortitude really to continue to play at that level. So how will that impact her at all?
A great question. Athletes, as you know, are very disciplined. They have very disciplined regimens, both physically and mentally. So physically, she should be fine, assuming she was not physically injured or beaten or those kind of things, or any type of long-term injuries. Mentally, she should also be pretty strong. Again, athletes deal with a lot of rigors, and because it's only been less than a year, I think she should be pretty strong from a mental standpoint, unless she has experienced some really unique and horrible things that will, sort of singe a really bad memory. But otherwise, she should be okay, I think, mentally, and the athletic background is definitely going to help her out.
Well, and something that's come up today in talking about one of the Marines that's still there, Paul Whelan, will there be any sort of like, I guess you'd call it survivor's guilt, although we understand that Whelan is alive, but having been there for 4 years now and him still being there, that would, I would think, play some role on how she's feeling on her psyche.
Yeah, a lot of patients develop PTSD for exactly that reason, that survivor guilt. And so, they may be able to get over the experiences that they had, but then they start saying to themselves, "Why me?" And so that guilt is really just that. It's guilt. It's not even PTSD. And hopefully, and one way that a lot of people can deal with that is they make it almost a mission of theirs to make sure that what they have experienced doesn't happen to other people. And I wouldn't be surprised if after this experience she becomes more of a spokesperson for sort of the atrocities and human rights issues that she may have experienced.
I know we've seen that from other people who have been released. Dr. Joshi, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate your insight to help us better understand.
Thank you.